Hello everyone, I am Trixie and I am 1/3 of the Philam Film Collective, and I am popping a squat next to a closet because of quarantine times, and you don't need to know the details because it really doesn't matter, but I really had to say that I am popping a squat. Today I am talking about making choices as a director. My scene, it was my turn to direct this time, and I chose a scene from Rocky IV or Rocky Balboa, sorry I don't know which one. And it starred our friend Rich and our friend, another third of the Philan Film Collective, my hair's over here, Adrian. The first big decision I made was shooting in my backyard. And obviously we did that because, we're just us, so we're not going to a restaurant or anything. But because we made that decision, I decided I'm going to fit it to the backyard, and I'm going to change up the scene a little bit so it's holding the essence of the scene, which is a father giving much needed stern advice to a son who is lashing out at him. So I knew I wanted to keep that part of the feel. But because, Rich isn't really Rocky Balboa, if you didn't know, and, Adrian isn't a businessman in his 30s, I really just wanted to change it a little and make it make sense on its own. In the beginning, that meant that I had them do yard work in the beginning for a hot second to be like, okay, well, why are we there? I just wanted to give a why to the situation instead of just being like, we're poor, that's why we're in my backyard. For costuming, I had Rich dress as just like a dad in his sweats and stuff, and because I wanted to keep the juxtaposition between a comfortable older person who doesn't care what anyone thinks of them and a businessman who definitely cares what people think, I had Adrian dress in a nice blazer and look a little more businessy, but definitely more modern. Again, hair over here. When it came to shots in the scene, they're walking down the street. Because we couldn't do that, I wanted to make sure I also had some different interesting shots just so we weren't doing over the shoulders the whole time. I wanted some movement, and you'll see that incorporated in the scene. I won't show it here. What else? Moving on. Okay, so casting. Right? Let's talk about casting choices. So casting is really important in film. It's important in theater. It's important in anything creative. When you have people performing and stuff, casting is really important. The fun thing about the Philam Film Collective, which I love, is that we're just casting ourselves. So we get to cast ourselves into roles that normally we probably wouldn't be casted into. And I think a really good example of that is yes, obviously Rich is not Rocky Balboa and he's not a boxer, but Adrian really is not an older man in his 30s trying to make his name in the world under the shadow of his boxer father. Because we had only a short amount of time to rehearse together and then film, I decided it helped me make decisions in how I was going to direct the actors. So specifically with Adrian, because again, he's so far from the role, and he did a great job, but I definitely, like he said, I had a heavy hand because that's just how I am. And also, again, because we have a short amount of time, it's not like we're rehearsing for forever. It's not like I'm with Adrian all the time. We're not being paid. We were doing our normal jobs and stuff. I was like, okay, how can I get this as quickly as possible? This performance as quickly as possible, because it is a serious, more dramatic scene. And so I pulled him aside, and he said this in his thing too, and I basically was just like, okay, we all know this is very opposite of you as a person, because Adrian is so forgiving, and he's so nice, and he's so open, whereas his character Robert is very closed off, very blame-y, very angry, and that's just not Adrian. So what I want to do is tap into the physicality of anger, and I chose to do that because he's a dancer. So for dancers, we do a lot of acting, but it's through our movement, and so I was like, I think I can get through to him faster using physicality. and like having tension in his body, because that's something that, again, as a dancer, we understand more, and that's kind of how we emote through things when we're on stage. So I was like, I'm gonna go this way because I think this is the quickest way. Also, I'm really not about like tap into when you were really angry and stuff. I don't believe that you necessarily need to like bring up old traumas and stuff like that to get a good performance. Long story short, I pushed Adrian a lot, like physically would just kind of like tap him just to like aggravate him, and I had him clench his fists, right? Because when you're angry, like there's a lot of tension in your body. So having him like do that so he could feel that, and having him do that in rehearsals, I was very much just like, keep going, keep, you know, clenching, having that in your body to feel that. And I would like poke him and stuff like that, because it was really hard for him to get to where I believed he needed to be anger wise. I was like, you know, like compared to like angry I can get like normally, I was like, Adrian, you're like at my 3 was his 10. I did this because like I was like, I think Adrian can do it. I want this to be good. Like I want Adrian to look good, and I want him to have like a different experience than like playing Eleanor from The Good Place in the beginning. So I did that with his permission, because also I'm not about like just like, I'm gonna break your own boundaries. Who cares? For art. Like, no, I'm not about that either. So I definitely asked him, again, I would only do this with him or like with a close friend. And just because like I know him, like, you know, like I know him. And it really worked. He did a really great job. Like he rehearsed like that. And sometimes when you're shooting, I'd have to remind him a little bit, but really like he was able to encapsulate that, like let it go so that he could actually like, you know, like act, but it was there. So I thought that was really successful. When it comes to Rich, like he can kind of, because he's a father, he, you know, can get in touch with his character a little more. And my biggest thing with Rich was just that, Rich, you memorized your lines holding your phone. And I knew he knew the lines because he knew the movie. And when we first started rehearsing, you know, he would be saying the lines, like quoting them randomly in a pretend Rocky accent voice. And so like basically he just got kind of nervous, and he like glued he behaviorally trained himself to like know the lines like this, and once it did this, it freaked him out. And so I just like called him out, which is another director's choice, right? Like you got to call him out, like, and I didn't say it like, you know, I wasn't trying to be harsh. I was just like, dude, you have it, you just need to do it without this. So that's how you need to rehearse now. Rehearse it without your phone. You need to start practicing it because it's not going to be there. So, you know, like the way you approach each actor is definitely like a choice you need to think about. And when you think about how you're going to do it, you have to think about like respecting each actor, but also like know your constraints, right? Maybe if I had longer rehearsal times and we had a long time before we shot, I'd probably like ease up on this. I'd probably go again through like the physicality of anger and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be just doing this to Adrian while we rehearsed. Though it was fun. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let's talk about choices when it comes to like the day of shooting. First and foremost, I'm gonna say like I have more experience directing like dancers, so basically like the actors, like the talent, so I feel like that's where I really, you know, shaped a lot. Also, like again, like I said, like I picked the background and I made it fitting towards where we were. When it comes to lighting, honestly, that was all Marissa. Like she would ask me if I liked certain things and stuff, but because that's not my area, and I didn't have time to focus on that, and I really trust Marissa, like that was like her thing. And that's the best I could do for lighting as a director in this point, because I didn't really have, I'm used to like lighting on stage and that I can picture. When it comes to scenes, like I'm not apt in that yet, and that's okay. And so Marissa did a wonderful job. Also, as a camera person, Marissa did a wonderful job, and she's so great to have, because, you know, I had my shot list, I had my creative say and shape of like what I want the shots to look at. And then I love knowing that because Marissa is very learned in film, that I could ask her advice and she's going to give me really good advice, which a lot of it's just like, this is okay, right? Like this isn't like dumb, right? No, but she gives really good feedback. Her lighting was excellent. Just working with her is always amazing. And so I'm really glad that I had someone to trust, and that's definitely a choice. And that's a choice I had to make, because it can't just be me on set, like, just kind of second guessing Marissa, just because, like, well, I don't know, but I'm the director, so I should have, like, a hand in this. Like, that's not how things need to be. I was like, I trust her. This is something she knows more in. Like, I'm gonna let her go. When it comes to shooting the day of, I think that choices you need to make as a director, I have to be aware of, like, our perimeters. Like, I have to make choices on, like, how many takes can we do, like, based on, like, you know, yes, I need an extra one, right? We need at least, like, 2 takes, like, just in case. But, you know, making the choices of, like, oh, can I get a better performance out of that? What do I really need to get at? What things can I let go for the sake of time and stuff? Because I'm at my home. Friday nights, like, my whole house, like, does social things. And I'm like, it's unfair if I, for my project, take away time from them. So that's something I was also, like, wary of in my head. But yeah, you just have to be willing to adapt, and then, you know, if you're running out of time, then you got to go quicker on your shots, or maybe you had some, like, pretty things that you wanted to try out, but maybe you can't do it right now because of time constraints. Like, I want to be respectful as I can of my whole cast and crew. Yeah. And I think everyone did a wonderful job, and we got what we needed. I definitely, like, we'll see when I edit this and show it next week. There is 2 shots that I opted that I was like, I don't need these. And hopefully I was right. Because I tried to think about it, but I could have been wrong. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about, like, basically the bigger choices I made. It's really fun being a director. It's definitely it's a good learning experience. I love doing with them because I had a team that I trust so much. You know, Film Collective and Rich, like, I love them so much. And I'm so glad that they're patient with me, that they're open to my own processes, that they provide feedback too, because that's great. And I want to learn and grow. And I hope you guys enjoy the scene for next week. Okay, bye!